Hi there, this is Greg, the Masked Gamer, and I am coming to you on Monday, August 5th, and I'm going to start a new series that I'm going to call Marvel Mondays, where today we are going to play some Marvel Champions, which is on my top 10 solo games list, but I haven't touched this game in like almost a year, so it's going to be pretty rusty today. And maybe we'll bring in some other M alliteration names as the weeks progress. But anywho, if you're new to my channel, this is a place for COVID cautious folks to feel safe in discussing and hearing about board games and card games. It is also open to those who are not COVID cautious as long as there is no minimalization or dismissiveness. That being said, I'm here today by myself, so I do not have to wear a mask. And yes, I have a face just like anyone else. And yes, I do hate wearing the masks just as much as everyone used to, but I do it to stay safe and keep those around me safe. Because I am a superhero, and superheroes wear masks. I really just felt I needed to do that for this. So anyway, Marvel Champions is a card game. It is a collectible card game where there are different booster packs that give you new cards that you can use to build a variety of decks. This next evolution is like wave 7. It's like the 7th season, if you will, of the game. And each season comes with a different campaign box, which has 5 interconnected scenarios and 2 heroes. And then there's other waves of heroes that come throughout the box. So the way you're supposed to play the campaign mode for this is to use the same hero for all 5 scenarios, but switch up their decks in between. However, nobody has time to do that with their life, or at least I don't, not with everything else behind me. So what I'm going to be doing for my playthroughs is I'm going to use 2 heroes for the first scenario, and I'm going to use 2 different heroes for the second scenario, and so on and so forth. I'm going to be using just their pre-constructed decks that they come with that are usually pretty weak, so we're probably going to die. And we're not going to redo the scenario when we die. We're just going to go straight on to the next scenario. So for this first scenario here, we will be using Cable and Domino. And I do realize that I've had some issues with my system focusing, so we're going to have to do things a little bit different today. So here is... I'm going to try it this way. Boom, boom. There we go. So here is Cable and here is Domino, and those are our heroes that we're going to be playing with today. Heroes always start the game on their alter ego side. So we have Nathan Summers and Nina Thurman. And you're going to notice that this layout video in the background is very, very blurry. Oh, look, it came in and fixed itself that time. That's so weird. It wasn't doing that earlier. Anyway, so... for those of you who have never played Marvel Champions before, here's basically how it works out. There's a villain, a very, very big bad guy, villain. We have to defeat the villain because we are heroes and heroes defeat villains. The villain has a life bar done by a dial here. And in this case, this villain has 18 life, which is indicated by the fact that it has 9. You're not going to be able to see this one because it's not going to come into focus. All right, let's go back and do this focus thing again. It's so weird how it comes into focus when I put it down, but not when I hold it up. So you'll see on the bottom here, it says 9 hit points per player. So that's why we have 18 hit points, because we're going to be playing this with 2 players. Like we said, we're going to be using Cable and Domino. And then each player has their own deck. The decks of cards have a certain amount of these cards are unique to the hero itself. So there's some Cable cards in here. And then there's 4 different aspects that each character can have in this game. You can be aggressive, which is red. You can be protective, which is green. You can be justice, which is yellow. And you can be leadership, which is blue. Cable is a blue leadership deck, and Domino is a yellow justice deck, and we'll get more into what that stuff is. And this is a much further game in the scenario, so there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to explain as we go. But that's because this is the game I decided to play today. I will do a series later on where I start off from the beginning and kind of get into the nitty gritty of it. But I want to make sure if you've never played the game, you kind of know what's going on the screen. So in addition to that, we also have, oh, look, it's out of focus again. And it's in focus again. So we have the villain here. Over here, we have what is called the main scheme deck. And this is what the villain is trying to do to defeat the heroes, or not necessarily defeat the heroes, but get on with their dastardly deeds and do terrible things. If you run out of time on the deck, then you lose. If both of your heroes get knocked out, then you lose. If you knock out the villain before those things happen, then you win. In this campaign, there is also a side scenario, which I picked before the campaign started. And if I complete this side scenario, then I will get some benefit that will follow me throughout the rest of the campaign. There's an environment in play, which will affect other things in the campaign, because as I said, this is one of the advanced ones. These are my player health dials. Cable has 12 health. Domino has 9 health. It'll tell me on each character card what their hand size, their starting hand size is, and in their cases, they're both 6. The way the game plays out is one hero will take a turn, will do a whole bunch of stuff, and then another hero will take a turn and will do a whole bunch of stuff, and then the villain will take a turn and do a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, that's just a bunch of stuff going on. What the villain will do during their turn is they will activate against each hero. If the hero is in alter ego mode, as they are now, the villain will achieve things on their dastardly side scheme. If the hero is in hero form, the villain will attack the hero. So you have to swap between being your alter ego and your hero self in order to pace out the game, getting progress against the schemes and defending against the villain. And that's the thing that makes Marvel Champions so fun, is that you get to they figured out a way within this game to utilize not only the superheroes that we know and love, but you also get to take part in their alter ego side. So like if you have the core game and you're playing as She-Hulk, you get to do lawyer stuff and things like that, which is kind of fun. And so we're just going to dive in. I'm just going to kind of sort of explain game mechanics as we go along, because we'll see how it goes. The plan today is to do the first scenario. Depending on what time it is when we're done, we might do a second scenario. Maybe I'll take a pause and do a second video for a second scenario. But the plan with Marvel Champions and these solo plays is for me to do all 5 scenarios for this box on camera over today and the next few weeks. So we're going to, and this is going to be funny because I haven't played this in over a year, so we'll see how much of this game I actually remember. But Cable's going to draw 5 cards. Domino's going to draw, 5. Should have been Nathan Summers' side. He's going to draw 6 cards. Domino is going to draw 6 cards. And Nathan Summers is going to be the first player. I think I have a token for that in here somewhere. Oh, yes, I do. This is going to tell us that Nathan Summers is the first player. We'll put that between his deck and over there. This might be interesting because I gave myself a very small on the table playing space for the camera, so it might get it might get interesting as we go along. So what we're going to do here is we are going to, let's see if that's in focus. It is not. We are going to show off Nathan's starting hand and see if it's something we want to keep. So we have. So we have Mind Scan. This is an event which costs 2 resources. You can tell the resource cost in the upper left-hand corner. And it is an event. And as an action, he can thwart, which will remove 3 threat from a scheme and remove 1 additional threat for each side scheme in the victory display. So this is something that's going to get more useful as Cable does other side schemes as it goes. You'll see on the lower left-hand corner, there's a little blue DNA symbol, and that is what is called a resource, and that is a science resource. So if I wanted to discard this card instead of play it, it would generate 1 science resource towards me doing other things. Second card we have is Body Slide. This is a free action which lets me change form, and every other player can change to the form that I'm in. So that's pretty cool. So if I'm a hero form, I can swap to alter ego form, and then every other player can also swap to alter ego form. That's a cool one. Call for Backup. This is a new kind of card in this expansion. It is a player side scheme. We can have 1 player side scheme in play at any given point in time because we are playing with 2 players. And Call for Backup, I'm going to go back to my other thing because I don't even remember which screen I have here. Yep. So Call for Backup will have 6 threat points on it. And when it's defeated, every player can search their deck and discard pile for an ally and put it into play. And this would then go into the victory display. And as we saw before with cards like Mind Scan, going back into the victory display is going to help me do more stuff. So I'm going to want to get some player side schemes into play for that purpose. This is a Sidearm, which is a neutral card. I can attach this to an ally, and it will give it +1 attack, and their attacks will get ranged. What range does in this game is something I don't remember, so we're going to look it up. Ranged. An attack with ranged ignores the retaliate keyword, so that'll keep my allies alive longer. The power of the mind. This will generate a science resource, but if I'm using it to pay for a card with the keyword psionic, I will double that resource cost. And this is Telekinetic Blast, which is a psionic attack, which I now know that other thing will help with. This will do 6 damage to an enemy and 1 additional damage for each side scheme in the victory display. Now, in this game, if I want to take a mulligan, I do not get those cards back into my hand. So this is a little tricky, right? So I'm going to want to keep a side scheme because I'm going to need to build up more of those side schemes in order to get things rolling with this game. And even though that Telekinetic Blast is a pretty strong card, I don't think I'm going to play it right away. So I'm going to mulligan that out because we're going to focus on trying to get these side schemes done. We're going to keep Power of the Mind because it's going to let me play Mind Scan with just 1 card. I have no allies in play, so I don't need that sidearm. I'm going to hold on to Body Slide just because it might have some good utility. And then I'm going to draw 2 cards to replace those with my mulligan. We get Deathlock, who is an ally, and he has 3 health, which is the number on the right. And when he does an action, he will thwart for 2 or attack for 2. Attacking does damage to enemies. Thwarting removes threat from schemes. And after Deathlock enters play, I can choose an upgrade in any player's discard pile with a cost of 1 or less that can be attached to him and immediately attach it. I just happen to have a sidearm in my discard pile that will qualify for that, but I don't see myself casting him this round. Then we have Uncanny X-Force, which is a support card, which means it stays into play. You can place it under any player's control, maximum 1 per player. And if each of your characters has the X-Force trait, which I believe, which obviously both of them do because this is the X-Force expansion, then each ally I control will get +1 thwart and take -1 consequential damage after thwarting a side scheme. So when you, let's show that Deathlock card again. So you see these little stars underneath the thwart and attack value. Because allies don't stay in play, they're not our main hero. Whenever they do an attack, they'll lose 1 life per star they have under that. So every time Deathlock does a thwart or an attack, he would lose 1 life. So that's going to be Nathan Summers' starting hand. And we're going to hold on to that starting hand off camera and see what Domino has because we have to make those decisions before we move forward. Domino has a Good Workout. This is a Domino card. It's a superpower. She can deal 4 damage to the enemy and discard the top card of her deck. For each resource icon that's discarded this way, she'll deal an additional damage to the enemy. So she does random things based on discarding cards from her deck. That's pretty cool. We have Overwatch. Overwatch is a side scheme. I can put 1 per scheme. Whenever any amount of threat is removed from it, I can discard this card and remove an equal amount of threat from a different scheme. Since we're going to be playing around with side schemes, that's going to be real useful. We're going to definitely want to keep that. And since we're starting focusing on thwart. Even the odds. This is a requirement. I forget what that's, requirement energy. So you have to, one of the cards that I discard to pay for this has to have a yellow resource icon in the lower left. This will let me remove 2 threats from each side scheme and deal 1 damage to the villain for each side scheme defeated this way. That's also very useful. I'm going to hold on to that one since we're doing a lot of thwarty stuff to begin with. I really wish that my focus on this screen was better, but you know, it is what it is. We actually have 2 copies of Even the Odds, so we don't need a second one. Sharpshooter. This is a maximum once per player. Whenever you make a ranged attack, discard the top card of your deck. The attack will deal 1 additional damage for each resource icon discarded this way. I don't want to put that into my discard pile because it's a permanent upgrade, so I want to try to equip this first turn if I can. And then we have Lucky Break, which is a hero interrupt. When you reveal an encounter card, you can discard this, cancel the effects of the card discarded, and reveal another card from the encounter deck. Now, I don't think I'm going to need that this first turn either. You notice a bunch of her cards have this green resource icon. That's a wild resource icon. When I do the effects that have me count resource on cards that I discard from my deck, each of those counts twice. So it doesn't really do that much for me when it's in my hand, but it does a lot for me when it's in my discard pile. Now what I can do is I can choose a card in my hand and swap it with the top card of the deck, which will guarantee, that will guarantee that it's got a wild icon on it. So I'm going to keep that Lucky Break for that purpose. So that's the 4 cards we're going to keep. We have Energy, which is a double energy card. So that's going to be very useful to pay for Even the Odds. And we have Domino's pistol, which is a weapon, so we'll probably definitely want to get that into play. Whenever I attack with it, I can exhaust the pistol, choose an enemy, and discard the top card of my deck, dealing 1 damage to the enemy for each thing discarded that way, and the attack or game range. So that's a nice spread of cards for Domino. That's a nice spread of cards for Cable. We're not going to be able to see that spread of cards on the screen as we play because it's just going to be a little bit too much. So the first thing that we do before we start anything is there's the main scheme setup. Oh, you know what? Let's do some story time. So the campaign scenario books for this come with a cute little comic book. So we're going to read this comic book. We're on Gray Malkin in the Earth orbit. I'm not going to do voices here, but anyway, we have Deadpool says, "Hey, Cable, you got this 200-inch screen, but only one channel?" And Domino says, "If you're bored, Wade, you could take a walk outside. There's an incoming emergency signal." Cable says, "Put it on screen, Professor." Hope Summer, what is it? Hope says, "Someone is attacking the Morlock tunnels. I'm trying to fend them off, but I need backup." Domino says, "We're on our way." And Deadpool, in typical Deadpool style, says, "Now that's what I call entertainment." Cable says, "Take cover until we arrive. Don't try to be a hero." And Hope says, "I know the drill, Dad. I had a good teacher." Whoa, they're going to go to the area. And Cable says, "Professor, have the team meet us at the Morlock tunnels. Body slide by 3. So what we have here is scenario 1, the Morlock siege. The Morlocks are a group of shunned mutants living in exile in the Forgotten Tunnels beneath New York City, and they are under siege by the mutant mercenary group known as the Marauders. Hope Summers, a member of the X-Men and adopted daughter of Cable, was checking on the Morlocks in the wake of recent Sentinel attacks when the Morlocks came knocking. You leap into action, help Hope fend off the Marauders and save the Morlocks. So we're going to have 7 villains in the villain deck on their A side. We would flip them to their B side for expert mode. Greg doesn't play on expert mode. Greg sucks at this game. The main scheme deck has the cards Knock Knock and Mutant Massacre. The encounter deck is made up of shuffling together Morlock Siege, which are the cards specific for this scenario, as well as some modular cards called Military Grade, Mutant Slayers, and the standard encounter decks that come with the base game. Now, you'll always be able to tell that the standard cards are going to come out because I don't sleeve my cards and they're used to death, but I don't really pay enough attention to let that meta me. Now, the Military Grade and Mutant Slayer scenarios can be removed from this scenario or added to other scenarios in order to customize and make things more replayable. Now, in this scenario, there are 7 different villains. Only one of those villains will be in play at a time, but the order is randomized and we don't know who will appear next. However, we are starting with Grey Crow because I shuffled the deck. The first card is going to instruct players to put the routed environment card into play, which I did. Routed has 2 sides, one for standard, one for expert. We have the standard size in, and that'll tell us what to do after the first villain is defeated. Unlike other scenarios, when one of them is defeated, all of their tokens move away. In order to win the scenario, we have to defeat 3 villains out of the 7. We also have chosen the 1-player side scheme that we've put into play. I have not printed up a encounter sheet, but you'll see on the back of the campaign book is a little here. You can record the progress for the campaign and blah, 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 blah. But I feel like that's all going to be pretty self-explanatory as we go along because these are not super complicated campaigns in the same way that Arkham Horror is. So the Knock Knock main scheme card says the Marauders will be on side A, which we've done. The Morlock Siege and standard encounter sets are used. 2 modular ones recommended Military Grade and Mutant Slayers, which have all been shuffled in. We've put the routed environment to play. We have set the Hide Treachery cards and each Morlock ally aside. You can't even see those, they're off the screen. We shuffle the villains together to create the villain deck, and the top card is in play. We flip this over to see the first card of our scheme, which is that's not really readable. Ugh, I hate that the focus is doing this to me. Knock Knock. Forced. So this is going to have a threat limit of 6 per player. So when it reaches 12 threat, we advance to the next scheme. You'll see on the bottom of the card, it says that the bottom number is we start with 1 threat per hero on it, and we will add 1 threat per hero with an asterisk each time what is it? That's at the beginning of each turn. At the beginning of each turn. Not the beginning of each turn, but there's gosh, it's been a while since I played this. the first part of the villain phase. After, and then there's an asterisk. After resolving step 1 of the villain phase, place 1 knock counter here. And that's just like we use these generic counters for things that are generic things. We're going to put a knock counter here. And if there's 3 knock counters here, we will immediately advance to stage 2A. If there are 3 villains underrouted, we win the game. So yeah, there's going to be an alternate loss method in addition to that. Let's talk about our other cards here. We have routed. Cards under here are not in play. After the villain is defeated, we'll put it under routed. We will discard each minion that shares a title with the top villain of the villain deck, and because that villain's in play. The villain will activate against each player in player order. And then our first villain, Gray Crow, does 1 scheme and 1 attack when it's the villain's turn. When Gray Crow attacks you or an ally you control, you will choose whether you want to discard the highest card you control, or Gray Crow will get +X attack for this attack, where that is the cost of the highest printed card you control. So that's a pretty nasty ability there. Nasty ability there. So here we go. We're gonna see how this goes, starting with our friend Nathan Summers. So, during setup, I can search my deck and discard pile for a player side scheme and set it into play. So I shouldn't have kept that call for backup one. Instead, I'll take this plasma rifle, which we'll talk about more later, because I would have immediately just put that player side scheme into play. I also forgot to put threat tokens on all these things. So we start with 2 on knock knock. We start with 8 on practice maneuvers. And we start with 6 on call for backup. So we're going to talk about this plasma rifle now. This plasma rifle is restricted. This is the first time I think we've seen the red symbol in the lower left, which is strength. As a hero action, you can exhaust the plasma rifle, spend an energy resource to deal 1 damage to an enemy for each side scheme in the victory display up to a maximum of 4. This gains range. So that's not even going to be that useful for us until later on when we have more bandwidth to play it with. So let's see the other side of Cable's card. Whenever he defeats a side scheme, we will be able to ready him once per phase. So yeah, he's going to spend his life. He's going to spend his life doing these side scheme things. So let's see here. I'm wondering if it's going to make sense to get Deathlock out. No, because that's going to be an attack thing, and we don't really care about that. So, all right. So first, Nathan Summers. Once per turn, you can automatically flip to your alter ego side. So we're going to flip him to be Cable. So he's now in hero form. We are going to, as predicted, spend the Power of the Mind card in order to play Mind Scan. So Power of the Mind has 1 science resource, but it's doubled because Mind Scan is a card with the psionic trait. And we are going to play Mind Scan, which is going to let us remove 3 threat from a scheme and 1 additional threat from that scheme for each side scheme in the victory display. So we're going to remove that 3 threat from Call for Backup, which now has 3 threat remaining on it. Then we're going to do something else. For sure. You're definitely going to do something else. You know, I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to end up spending Body Slam and the Plasma Rifle to put Uncanny X-Force into play next to Cable. So now when I summon a ally, each ally control will get +1 thwart and take -1 consequential damage when thwarting side scheme. And instead of, I'm going to hold on to Deathlock to play him the next turn and start taking advantage of that Uncanny X-Force. Cable is going to use his final action to thwart and remove 2 more threat from Call for Backup. So now that's got 1 on it. So when we get around to Cable's turn again the next time, he'll be able to easily swipe that out, which is going to let him ready himself and do all of this fun stuff. So next, we're going to go to Domino's turn. So Domino can choose a card in her hand. and swap that card with the top card of her discard pile. So I think I said that I didn't care about something. I'm trying to remember what it was. I attach that to a scheme. I do this thing. Oh yeah, I didn't care about sharpshooter because I wasn't going to be attacking for a while. So I'm going to swap that with good workout. So now I have 2 cards with a wild symbol in my hand. I'm going to flip to domino side. I'm going to choose a card in my hand and swap it with the top card of my deck. So I'm going to do that with a good workout, the card I just took out of my discard pile to put on the top card of my deck. So now I know that the first card I discard this turn is going to be that. Dun, 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 dun. Or maybe it was, oh no, let's have done that with Lucky Break instead. We're going to keep a good workout. Yeah, because that'll let me do other fun stuff. So first thing that I want to do is we are going to attach Overwatch to the main scheme. And this is a hero interrupt. Oh, no. We're going to attach that to justice maneuvers. When any amount of threat is removed from the attached scheme, discard this card to remove an equal amount of threat from a different scheme. Yeah, no, I'm going to put this on the main scheme and use that to scale out with things later. I'm going to keep changing my mind about stuff here because I haven't played this game in centuries, so I'm forgetting how everything works. Plus, I'm excited. Plus, you know, the horrible focus issues that we're dealing with today are all fun things. So I drew Superpower Training, which is another player side scheme. Each player would be able to search their deck and discard pile for an identity-specific upgrade and put it into play. And we can only have one player side scheme in play at a time. So I'm not going to use that until Call for Backup gone, and I don't plan on dealing with removing Call from Backup this turn because I want to make sure that Cable gets to remove those things himself, which means I'm not really even caring about that even the odds card that I had. So like a lot of the stuff that I have in my hand, I just don't really care about right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend 2 energy to play Domino's Pistol and be ready for some attacking. I always like to put my upgrade cards on the left and my support cards on the right. This might not work out with the way things are laid out here because this board's going to get pretty crowded pretty fast, but we'll see how it goes. So Domino now has a weapon, and we're also going to, yeah, we're going to spend both Even the Odds and Superpower Training to play Good Workout. So we're going to deal 4 damage to an enemy, which is going to be the boss, bringing the boss down to 14. I know I said I wasn't going to damage the boss, but this is what's happening. And then we're going to discard the top card of our deck. For each resource icon discarded this way, deal 1 additional damage to an enemy. Anything that's wild is counted twice, so that's 2 additional damage from that, bringing the boss down to 12 already. And then I can exhaust Domino's Pixel, choose that enemy. I'm going to deal 1 damage to, I'm going to discard the top card of my deck. And, oh, look, it's another side scheme. And deal 1 damage to that enemy for each resource icon discarded that way, which is going to just be 1 in this case. So we've done 7 out of 18 damage to Grey Crow. Now, if Domino was playing by herself and Cable wasn't even involved in this, that would have like almost killed this first boss on round 1 because we are superheroes and superheroes are super and they do a super duper good job. Great. Okay. So after all players have finished their turns, each player will discard any number of cards from their hand. Cable's not going to do it. Cable wants to keep Deathlock in play and then draw up to their hand size. Now their hand size is different when they're in hero form. So in alter ego form, it was 6. In hero form, it's only 5. So Cable's going to draw 4 cards and Domino's going to draw 5 cards. And we're going to, this is going to take forever. We're going to quickly go through what each of these cards does now. So we have, for Cable, we have Eva. Eva is a support vehicle, which is free. If Phantom X is not in play, we would have to discard it, so it's no good unless Phantom X is in play. When Phantom X is in play, you can exhaust it to either remove 1 threat from scheme, deal 1 damage, or heal 1 damage from Phantom X. I don't have Phantom X in my hand, so that's going to be pretty useless. We have Mission Planning. Mission Planning is an event. You can only play it when there's a side scheme in the victory display, which there will be by the end of Cable's next turn. And then until the end of the phase, allies you control do not take consequential damage. So that's fun. We have Temporal Leap. Temporal Leap is an upgrade. When the main scheme would be completed, remove this card from the game and put a side scheme from the victory display back into play. Move 4 threat from the main scheme to that. Oh, a side scheme. So I really want to get those side schemes up there because that'll give me a nice buffer. And we have Mission Leader. Reduce the cost to play Mission Leader by 1 if your identity has the soldier trait, which of course Cable does. After a side scheme is defeated, exhaust mission leader, each player draws 1 card. So we're going to be doing lots of fun stuff there. Domino's hand, we have Feral. Feral is an ally. Whenever she thwarts, you discard top card of your deck. For each resource discarded this way, deal 1 damage to the villain. Very nice. We have another copy of Sharpshooter. So it doesn't. We have 2 more copies of Sharpshooter because I did a real good job shuffling. We have Pip the Pug. Oh, Pip the Pug. You can exhaust him to put 1 domino or posse card from your hand on top, from your discard pile on top of your deck. Okay, cool. So that'll help me get more wilds up. And then we have yet another copy of Overwatch. So I guess I just didn't shuffle her cards very well. And we are going to see if this refocuses itself. It's not going to refocus itself. Maybe it has to do with if I put the card there. So we're going to try putting this card here and holding it up to the camera. And then we're going to put it down. Nope, doesn't refocus itself. It's so funky because this was working. This was doing focusing fine the other day. I don't know what's changed. I must have done something with my phone. Anywho, that is the end of the player's turn. We're going to now do the first villain phase. So first we're going to place threat on the main scheme equal to that amount, which we've already talked about is 2. And then after we resolve that step, we are also going to place 1 knockout counter here. I have to make sure I do not have 3 we're placing 1 knock counter here. We have to make sure we do not have 3 knock counters there. I don't know how to remove a knock counter yet. I'm assuming there's going to be cards in this deck that are going to do it. So now the villain is going to engage. Oh, I forgot to ready the heroes. I forgot Domino could also have done an action. So she's going to have done 2 more damage to the boss because she seems to be our attacker. Okay. Retcon. Anywho, so the boss is going to first activate against Cable and is going to do 1 damage. Now, I can choose to discard the highest card I control, or I'm going to give +2 damage because of Grey Crow's special ability. So Cable is going to take a total of 3 damage. 1 + 2, because I don't want to discard that card. Now, she's going to attack Domino, same thing. But Domino has a 3 defense, so she's just going to defend against that 3 attack. Now, because I exhausted her during this phase, this means she is not going to be able to do a normal attack or thwart during her next phase, but she can still use her gun, so it doesn't even matter. All right, so that's the first part of the villain phase. The second part of the villain phase is dealing out encounter cards. So we have this encounter deck here. 1 encounter card is going to go to Cable, and 1 encounter card is going to go to Domino. In player order, we're going to flip them over 1 at a time and resolve them. So here, we have a titanium exoskeleton. This card is going to attach to the enemy with the fewest remaining hit points. The attached enemy cannot take more than 2 damage from a single attack. As a hero action, you can choose to spend 3 resources of any type or remove a confused or stunned status card from the attached enemy to discard this card. So Grey Crow just went from easy to beat to not so easy to beat. Just like that. Domino. Harpoon. Harpoon is a minion, so Harpoon is going to be engaged with Domino. You'll notice Harpoon has this, if you can see it, Harpoon has this star next to her name, meaning that he has this star next to his name. I don't know these characters, obviously. Next to his name, meaning that he is a unique character. So if Harpoon was the top character of the villain deck, this card would just be discarded because he wouldn't be able to come into play. So he has the keyword of guard. That means that I think it's only the minion that he's engaged with, but I'm going to just double check because it's been a while. Yeah. So that means that Domino has to attack Harpoon before Domino can attack the main villain. And Harpoon has a massive 5 hit points. Also, whenever Harpoon attacks you or an ally you control, you either take 2 indirect damage, meaning you can assign it to a different, to an ally, or Harpoon will get +2 attack and it will gain piercing, which will go straight through toughness. If you have toughness, it's a good thing Colossus isn't with us. Yowza. All right, so we're going to pass the first player token to Domino. Domino is going to be the first player for this round, and then we're going to do all of this wild stuff. Again, we still don't know what to do about this knockout deck. There's just so much trouble happening. So much trouble happening. I really want to play Pip the Pug, but I also really want Feral in play. So we're gonna Yeah, we're just gonna spend all 4 of these resources to put Feral into play because I feel like that's gonna be a big deal for this encounter to get some of these allies out. So Feral is going to thwart against practice maneuvers. So she takes 1 damage because of the star and its consequential damage. Uncanny X-Force only affects Cable's cards, not Domino's cards. And we're going to do 2 thwart to the special side scheme practice maneuvers. And because I thwarted, I discard the top card of my deck and I deal 1 damage to a villain of my choice. Now that's not a normal attack, so that guard ability doesn't count here. So I can do 1 damage to Grey Crow with it and chip away, which is why I decided to bring her out because of that indirect damage. We are going to use Domino's Pistol. And this is not, again, this is not a normal attack. Oh, shoot. I messed up a rule. So when Grey Crow was attacking, we were supposed to draw boost cards. Again, I haven't played this in a while. So we're just going to draw the next boost card and retcon it now. So there's these little symbols on the bottom here, and that would have been added to his attack. So that's going to do 3 more damage to Cable, and we're just going to have to soak it because that's what happened, and 0 more damage to Domino. I get excited, I go too fast, I mess up rules. That's what I do. Okay, so what is Domino going to do with this pistol? Is she going to attack Harpoon or the boss? She's going to attack the boss because we're not going to do more than 2 damage. It does 1 damage to the boss because that's, again, it's not an attack action. It's choose an enemy and deal. Oh, no, it is. It says hero attack. So I'm sorry. That 1 damage has to go to Harpoon. So this is why what Greg should have done is gone back and played a few rounds against Rhino to get used to how this game worked again before doing this video. But that's not what Greg did, and Greg doesn't edit his videos. So this is what it is. It is what it is. Okay, so that was Domino's very, very lackluster turn, and now it's going to be Cable's turn, who is hopefully going to be able to do some more. I have a lot of cards here. The problem with that is that I really wanted to get Deathlock into play. But I don't think that's going to be feasible. So Cable is going to thwart Call for Backup, thus defeating it. So because he defeated a side scheme, he's immediately readied, so he's going to get to do another turn. When I defeat a Call for Backup, each player searches their deck and discard pile for an ally and puts it into play. So I am going to put Phantom X into play here because I know I have this card. I'm supposed to reshuffle those cards, but nobody wants to watch me shuffle, and I didn't really pay attention. So because Phantom X entered play, Ava is going to be able to be of use, and we'll see how all of that works out in a second. Put him there. And Domino gets to do the same thing. She's going to get to search her deck and discard pile for an ally and put it into play. I don't think I had an ally in my discard pile, so we're just going to find an ally in her deck. And we're just going to take the first one from the bottom without paying attention because that's what I decided to do. This is Outlaw. Outlaw has toughness, so we're going to put a little toughness on it. The first time Outlaw takes damage, the toughness goes away. Whenever Outlaw attacks, we will discard the top card of our deck, and Outlaw will get +1 attack for that attack for each resource icon discarded that way, which is cool. We're not going to do anything with her this round because we don't want to waste that toughness. We want to use that toughness to suck up a big attack first. And Call for Backup is going to go into the victory display, which nobody can see, but we now have a card in the victory display. And so now I can play Ava for free, which I can exhaust to remove 1 threat from a scheme, deal 1 damage to an enemy, or heal 1 damage from Phantom X. We're going to exhaust it to do 1 damage to that boss. Because again, if we could just knock that boss out, we can get rid of that titanium exoskeleton just a tad bit easier. So I kind of want to focus on that a little bit here, which means again we don't have enough to play Deathlock, which is very, very sad. Oh shoot! Yes. Okay. I I would have smartly, if I was smart, I would have played mission leader as soon as I played that side scheme. I would have played mission leader before finishing that side scheme so that I could have exhausted and each player draws a card. I'm going to allow myself to retcon that because I feel like it's needed. All right, this game is hard to fit on this camera. So before I do it again, I'm going to lift the camera up more and try it a different way. But okay, so now we've got some extra cards to play. These are all garbage in his hand, sadly. So not much is going to happen with those. We are going to... Phantom X is going to thwart practice maneuvers for 2 thwart because of Uncanny X-Force, reducing that to a 3, and not take consequential damage because of Uncanny X-Force. And Cable is going to switch to Alter Ego side in order to use a recovery action and heal 4 because he took a lot of damage there. So a lackluster second turn for everybody, mostly because I'm trying to remember how to play this game and I don't know what I'm doing. So at the end of the turn, each player... Oh, Domino drew Wolfsbane. Wolfsbane is one of my favorite heroes, so I'm not going to discard that because I want to summon Wolfsbane. I am going to discard both of these mission planning cards from Cable. So Domino is going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. We got a Strength, which is just flat 2 resources, a Genius, which is a flat 2 resources, a Probability Field. This will let her do more with her basic resources, which will be good when she's getting attacked in a second. We have Diamondback, which is an ally of hers. We can exhaust Diamondback to deal 1 damage to her, discard the top card of our deck and deal 1 damage to each enemy for each resource icon on her. So we've got a lot of allies in Domino's field. And I believe that the limit for allies is 4. I'm sorry, is 3. So we're going to be able to summon just 1 more of those if I'm correct. Ally during a player's turn. Yep, she can only summon 3 allies. So her allies are going to be full. And then because Nathan Summers is back in Alter Ego mode, he's going to draw up to a hand of 6, meaning 5 more cards because he's still got Deathlock there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what we have is Frenemies. If Deadpool's in play, we would deal 1 damage each to Cable and Deadpool, remove 3 threat from a scheme, and do 3 threat from a different scheme. Deadpool's not in play. We have Oksani-san. Oksani-san, which is a title. After you defend against an enemy attack, you can exhaust this and spend an energy resource to remove threat from a scheme equal to your thwart. That's pretty cool. Another mission planning, but he's not in hero form. That's not going to do anything. We have another player side scheme. Characters other than Cable cannot remove threat from this. While it's in the victory display, Nathan, Summers, and Cable gain the psionic trait, and Cable gets +1 thwart, +1 attack, and +1 defense. I feel like, ooh, that's good. And then we have the Scimitar, which is another weapon. Whenever you play another psionic card, you can exhaust this, deal 2 damage to an enemy. So those are all pretty good cards for the next turn. We're going to refresh everyone in play. Ba-dum-bum-bum. And then we're going to go on to the villain turn. So the first thing we're going to do on the villain turn is add 2 more threat to the main scheme and 1 knock token. So if we don't figure out how to get rid of a, if we don't figure out how to get rid of a knock token on this next turn, that's going to flip anyway. So handling the scheme on it's kind of relevant. All right, so Grey Crow is going to attack Domino. And this time we're going to do things correctly, and we're going to add a boost card to it. We are going to block this attack with Outlaw and her toughness. So his attack is going to be 1 + 4 is 5, + 2 is 7, but all it does is take her toughness away. So that is why we waited to do that. Harpoon is going to attack, and it's either going to do 2 indirect damage or get +2 attack for the attack. So we're going to we're going to block with Domino. So that's going to be 2. We'll let it be 4. So that's 4. And I'm going, oh, I don't have that in place, so I can't use that interrupt. So she's going to take 1 damage, which is all right. And then Gray Crow is going to attack against Cable, which is going to be to scheme, +3. So that's 1 + 3 is a 4 scheme. So we're going to add 4 more points to this, bringing it up to 9, which is very close to 12. But also, like, if I don't have any way to get rid of Knock Knock, so since I don't have any way to get rid of Knock Knock, it doesn't matter. It's going to flip on the next turn anyway. There's no point in even caring about it. I'm going to pass first player over to Nathan Summers. Okay. So let's see here. What are we going to do? What oh what? So first things first, we're going to exhaust Ava to deal 1 damage to the boss. We are going to I don't have any alter ego abilities. We're going to put Technovirus Purge into play. Only Cable can remove threat from that. We're going to switch to the Cable side of things. We are going to, oh dear, what are we going to do? 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 Phantom X is going to thwart practice maneuvers for 1. He does +1 to it, so that takes 2 more off of it. And he doesn't take consequential damage from that. That leaves us with 2 more things. So we're going to use Cable's basic thwart to remove 2 thwart from practice maneuvers. Because he defeated a side scheme, he can be ready. Because he defeated because a side scheme was defeated, we can exhaust mission leader and both characters draw a card. We drew Sunspot for Cable, who after you play Sunspot, you can deal 1 damage to the villain each minion engaged with the chosen player for each energy resource that was used to summon Sunspot. And then we have the Posse for Domino, which you can play only if you control at least 3 characters with the Posse trait, which I don't because Feral is an X-Force. And then I can heal 1 damage from each Posse character and ready them. So if I put that other Posse sidekick into play, that could be quite a power play there. But let's see what happens when we've defeated practice maneuvers. When defeated, flip this card and put practice maneuvers into play. Practice maneuvers, environment, reduce the cost to play each event with a printed cost of 3 or more by 1. So that's pretty cool. And I believe I have to put a villain into play. Each of these side schemes adds a specific encounter card for the rest of the campaign, even if players do not. Okay, so that's going to happen at the end of the scenario, as far as I can tell. But that was good to get out pretty early. Now we have a whole lot of stuff going on. We don't have any energy resources to pay for Sunspot. So I'm going to use Sunspot and 3 of my other cards to finally bring Deathlock into play, who I've been wanting to bring for a while. When Deathlock enters play, you can choose an upgrade in any player's discard pile with a cost of 1 or less that can be attached to him and attach it to him. So we're just going to take that sidearm and attach it to him. He gets +1 attack and his attacks gained ranged, which is nice. So we're going to use that to do 3 damage to Harpoon over here and get some progress against that so that we can move forward there. And finally, Cable is going to thwart the Technovirus Purge, leaving it with 3 threat remaining because we want to get that out of play too. So that was a much bigger turn, and I realized you really can't see what's happening here. So whoosh, we're gonna raise the bar here. Here we go. Whoops. Is that better? Is that better? All right. It raised a little bit, so we're gonna pop this up here. We're gonna put these guys here. Okay, we're going to put Harpoon over here. We're going to put Feral and Outlaw over here. We're going to put Domino here. We're going to put the villain's health counter here. There's Deathlock and Phantom X. There's the rest of this stuff. And it is all very out of focus, so we're going to fix all that in a second. Let's go fix that. And this should be better. And that doesn't look much better to me. Boom, boom. Boom, boom, focus. Boom, 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 focus. That's as good as it's going to get. But we can see more of what is going on now. All right, thanks for bearing with that technical moment. All right, so that was Cable's turn. So now we are going to move on to Domino's turn. Domino and Outlaw are both exhausted because, so am I. They're both exhausted because they have been defending like wildfire. So yeah, so I definitely want to summon Diamond back. And I definitely want to play, oh no, I'm gonna wait for that. So we've done that. And we are going to play, do I want to do that for that or that? Let's wait a second, see what happens here. So Feral is going to finish taking out Harpoon. So Harpoon's going to go in the discard pile. You'll see Feral now has 2 damage on her, which is so sad. As an action, I can exhaust Diamondback, deal 1 damage to her, and wait. Oh, I'm going to swap. I can choose a card in my hand and swap it with the top card of my deck. No, I'm going to leave it. We're going to discard the top card of the deck. Oh, it's got a wild resource on it, so that's going to do 2 damage to each enemy. I should have done that before Feral did the thing, but I didn't, and I wasn't thinking, and that I'm not going to take back. So now all 4 of those characters are exhausted, so I'm going to play Genius to play the Posse, because I have 3 Posse characters in play. We're going to heal 1 damage from each Posse character and ready them. So we're going to heal that 1 from Diamondback and ready all of these folks. I think that's fun. So now, I really want to hold on to this. Oh, no. Yeah, I'm going to hold on to that stuff. So now, firstly, Domino. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yes. Outlaw is going to attack Grey Crow, and we discard the top card of the deck. It's going to add +1 to that attack, so that's 2 damage, which is the 2 damage that I am allowed to do. And then Domino is going to exhaust and do 2 damage to Grey Crow, and that brings Grey Crow to 0. So we've defeated the first villain so far. So what we do is the villain, we will put the villain under here. We will discard each minion in play that shares the same name as the villain, but that didn't happen. And then the villain, the new villain, will activate against each player in player order before anything else happens. So the next villain is Vertigo. When Vertigo attacks you or an ally you control, you will have to stun a character you control, or she will get +2 to this attack. So first, she is going to attack Cable. Cable has not even been able to recover. So we're going to go ahead and pop a stun on Phantom X, because that's what we're doing. And it does 2 damage, so Cable is down to 8. And then she's going to activate against Domino. And Domino is going to put a stun on Diamondback, because I don't actually have to thwart or attack with her to do damage. So the stun is totally fine. and it's going to do 2 damage to Domino, bringing her to 6. But we're 1/3 of the way there, so that's pretty cool. Okay, I don't have mana, because mana is a word. I don't have mana to do anything else in my hand, but I can still exhaust exhaust Diamondback to discard a card. Ooh. After this card is discarded from the top of your deck, shuffle it back into your deck, and it has 1 of each icon, so that's actually 3. So it's going to do 3 damage to this boss right off the bat, bringing it to, oh wow. I just realized that all of these numbers are much higher here, so I could just, well, that's technically 150. We're going to bring it down to 15. So that was pretty good. I forgot to discard this titanium exoskeleton when I killed this boss. That's a cool one. So this is going to get shuffled back into my deck, and that was pleasant to get it that late, because now the deck is much smaller, and the chance of it coming up again faster are pretty good. But we'll see if that actually happens or not. But we are going to exhaust Domino's pistol to go ahead and shoot Vertigo again and see how much damage that does. It is, after this card is discarded from the top of your deck, add it to your hand. So that's going to do 2 damage, and it's immediately in my hand. So now I'm starting to see how Domino works, and she's pretty cool. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. Digging it, digging it, digging it. Okie dokie. So she's definitely done now. So that is the end of the player's turns. I am going to go ahead and discard this card from Cable's hand and see what Cable can pick up. Oh, wait. Does she? You know, because Knock Knock is going to flip, I feel like this is going to be a safe turn for Domino to do some recovery. So we're gonna flip this here and let her be in alter ego mode for the next turn, so that I can draw more cards more than anything else. And I'm gonna hold. Am I gonna hold on to all of these? Definitely holding on to that. Yeah, I have all these allies out, so I'm gonna go ahead and discard Wolfsbane. So Domino's gonna draw 1, 2, 3, 4 more cards. One of those was sadly Jackpot. She also has this card called the Painted Lady. After you discard a card from the top of your deck, attach that card face down to this, and then you can exhaust this to add 1 card attached from there to your hand. So that's pretty good. And I'm going to be in alter ego form, so that's double good. That's her attack card from before. We also have a card called Right Place, Right Time. Remove 3 threat from a scheme and discard the top card of your deck and remove extra threat from that. Then we have Cable. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because he's in hero form. We have another side scheme, so that's good. I'll be able to put a side scheme into play. We have Mind Scan, which is his threat removal. We have Telekinetic Force Field. When a friendly character would take any amount of damage, discard this instead and prevent all the damage. I should get that into play. Another sidearm. I mean, I could give that to Phantom X, but I don't know why. And the Power of the Mind. Not the best of hands. But anywho, all right, so that was the player's turn. We are going to ready all of these lovely, lovely, lovely cards that we have. I think I did a really good job with getting a bunch of allies out and getting a nice little army going here, even if I don't have many like support engine cards in play. We've done that. We've drawn the cards. Okay, so we're going to go to the next round. We are going to place threat on the scheme. So that's 2 threat on the scheme, bringing it to 11, which is not enough to knock it over. However, we do add a 3rd knock counter to it, and that will advance it. Now, what I never did was use the Overwatch ability because I realized I didn't actually need to worry about that scheme. But anyway, the next card is Mutant Massacre. When revealed, each player will put 1 set-aside Morlock ally under their control. So we get this here and this here. Now, it does not count against your ally limit. Okay, cool. We will shuffle the Hide Treachery deck into the Encounter deck. So we haven't drawn very many encounters yet, but yeah. It says, if the previous stage was advanced by knock counters, give each Morlock ally a tough status card. They are tough. We're going to flip this over, see the art, if you can kind of see it. This has a threat limit of 16 because we're 2 players. As an action, we can exhaust a Morlock ally and then shuffle hide from the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. Once we've defeated 3 villains, we win. This will add 2 threat each round. And if this stage is completed, or if there are no Morlock allies in play, then the players will lose the game. So I guess I don't want them to die. So they are a victory -1. They have 5 health. They do not count against your ally limit. Nothing can remove it from play. However, when an enemy attacks, it will attack a Morlock that you control instead of your main character. So I'm going to have to do a lot of defense to keep these guys alive while I whittle down these last 2 bosses. It's going to be a little bit of micro, multi, micro, macro, micro, multi, macro management. Okay. So, and we passed the first player. Oh, no, we don't. Because that was just the first step of the villain round. All of the villain things are still going to happen. Did I? I think I forgot to play encounter cards the last round, but I remembered to attack. I apologize for that. So this should be harder than it has been. I got excited again and screwed up. Okay. So first, we're gonna manage that by dealing an extra encounter card to each player, which is something that would sometimes happen anyway, and we're just gonna have to survive whatever comes at me because I cheated. But first, Vertigo is going to attack Cable. Well, it's going to actually attack the Morlock, and I'm just going to let it go. Oh no, I don't want to let it go. It's only going to be 2 damage. I am going to defend with Phantom X. Yeah. So Phantom X is going to take 2 damage instead of the Morlock. Oh, that's not true because I have Shadows of the Past. Hold on. Let me rethink that. Not Shadows of the Past. I have a card here. I don't want Phantom X to die. I'm just going to have to let it attack the Morlock for a massive 6, removing its toughness. So that's already not the best of shape. And then she is going to scheme, because Domino's in that form, and do... So this has a boost effect on the bottom. This card will get +X boost, where X is the number of villains underrouted. So there's 1 villain underrouted so far, so it's going to be 2 boost. That's 2 scheme plus 2 boost is 4 scheme. So we're going to add 4 to the Unit Massacre card. Now, for anybody who doesn't know Marvel Champions, it's very good when this card comes out in a boost effect. If it comes out normally, your character's own personal nemesis will join the fight and usually lead to terrible, terrible things. And then we are going to this time remember to deal a card to each of them, and now we're going to have to deal with all of these at once because I messed up with it. So first we have Arclight. Arclight has Retaliate 1. When it attacks you or an ally you control, you must confuse the character you control, or it will get +2 for the attack. And we have Inhibitor Collar. Ooh, attach the Inhibitor Collar to your identity. Treat your identity's printed text as if it were blank, so Cable can't do his auto refresh anymore. And then I can either exhaust a character I control or take 3 damage to discard this. It also gives me -1 attack while it's happening. I'm definitely going to want to deal with that. Ooh, I'll probably exhaust the Morlock to deal with that. That's not so bad. Okay, Domino, Memories of Armageddon. This is an obligation card. I'm going to have to give it to Domino. She already has it. I have to treat all her identities printed text boxes as if they were blank. And as an alter ego action, I can exhaust my identity to discard this. It's a good thing I'm in alter ego mode because I'll be able to get rid of that pretty quickly. And then we have the other one, which is Heavy Armament. Attached to the enemy with the highest attack, which is ironically Arclight, because Vertigo's attack is 0. The attached enemy gains Retaliate 2, so Arclight now has a Retaliate of 3. After you attack the attached enemy, spend 2 resources of the same type to discard this card. It also gives her +2 attack. She's kind of a beast right now, unless I am using ranged attacks, but I do have ranged attack characters. We're going to move the first player token to Domino, and here we go. Domino's turn. So the first thing I'm going to do is exhaust my identity to discard Memories of Armageddon. Oh, that goes into this discard pile. That is kind of shisty, but it is what it is. We are going to... this is all bad. This is all bad. Bad stuff here. I don't think the Painted Lady is going to be useful with all of the drama that's going on. Because there's a lot of drama going on. Her basic powers are also screwed because she's exhausted. There's a lot of bad stuff happening here. Lots of bad stuff. Feral's going to die anyway, so she is going to attack Arclight, dealing 2 damage and taking a bunch of retaliation. So at least Arclight is down to 3 health. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do. Now I can choose a card in my hand and swap it with the top card of my discard pile, which was Feral. This is looking better now. All right. Okay. I'm going to give up on the Painted Lady and use Jackpot to bring Feral back into play. Hey, girl. Hey, girl, hey, girl, hey, girl. I'm going to exhaust Diamondback, deal 1 damage to her. Oh, I didn't deal damage to her the last time it happened, so she would have already had damage done to her. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be able to hit her anyway. We're not going to do that yet. We're not going to do that yet. We're going to wait. We're going to wait. We're going to do things smart. We're going to do things smart. Smart. We're going to flip Nina back to regular form. She's going to use her ability to swap this card from her hand with the top card of the deck. I now have a card called Team Investigation, which will remove a lot of stuff from a side scheme, but I really don't care about. But the important part is I can exhaust Diamondback, dealing 1 damage to her, and this is now going to do 2 damage because it's got Digging Deep on it, and I get to add it to my hand because it's Digging Deep. So that's going to, and that's not an attack, so Retaliate doesn't happen. So it's only 1 more damage to Arclight that has to happen. Now, I don't remember if Retaliate still happens if I kill the boss, because I know in some games it doesn't. So we're going to see if we can find that out. Let's see here. Is that in this book or the other book? Which book is this word in? It's not in that book. Retaliate. Keywords. It'll probably be under the word, the keywords, maybe. Keywords. Retaliate. The character must survive to deal this damage. That is exactly what I wanted to see. That did, however, kill Diamondback, because I had forgotten to add the 1 extra the previous turn. But I now only need to do 1 damage to Arclight, and that will kill it, and then there will be no repercussions. I'm going to use the gun to do that, which will do 2 damage, but it does kill her. So that, yep, that's a her. So that's it for Arclight. Took care of that. That's pretty good. Okay. Now back to figuring out how to kill this boss. Now what sucks is Domino is going to take some damage that next turn, and that is a sad day for Domino. There is no way for me to put these other things back in my hand. I think... Yeah, I'm going to use... Let's do some other stuff first. Okay, so firstly, Feral is going to attack the boss for 2. Outlaw is going to attack the boss for... Ooh, that gets added to my hand. That changes things. For 3. got that dig deep card again. So she's down to 8 now. Now I have a little bit more flexibility. Just a little bit more. So we're going to spend both of these. What are the odds of me doing? Oh, he's got plenty of stuff going still. You know, I'm going to need more defense. So I'm going to spend dig deep and team investigation to put this probability card into play. I can discard this whenever I use a basic power to discard the top of my deck and add stuffies to it. And then I don't have enough to play a good workout from my hand. I'm not going to use the Morlock to attack because I want to keep that defensive stuff up. But I feel like that was a lot of good things happened. It's too bad I don't have any events that cost 3 for the practice maneuver I put into play, but it is what it is. That's what we've got here. So let's see here. So over here in the land of Cabal, Cable, Cabal, Cabal, Cable. So Phantom X, as usual, is going to thwart for +1, thwarting 2 of this for free. Doesn't matter that it's stunned. We're going to use this to do 1 damage to the boss. I have to get rid of that first before I can spend that. I'm just thinking. We're going to use this to do Mind Scan, which is going to remove 3 threat from the Technovirus Purge. No, not going to do that yet. We're going to take 3 damage to remove this card. Let's leave that there for now. We are going to oops, sorry. Oh, shoot. We are going to I want to do all these things in a different order than they're going to happen. That sucks. We're going to attack with Cable for 2. Then we're going to spend Mind Scan to remove the 3 from this, which readies Cable, exhausts Mission Leader. Each person draws 1 card. This goes into the victory display. So I get +1 attack, +1 defense, +1, etc. for the rest of the thingy. Yada, yada, boop, boop. Oh, I don't have room for all this stuff with Caliban here. I am going to discard this sidearm to put Lock and Load into play, which is another side scheme. This one's going to have 4 threat on it. I currently have a thwart of 3 with Cabal, but I can only do that once per phase, the like auto win, if you will. So it's not that important right now. But I could clear it. Oh, do I want to? Well, let's start with Deathlock, who's going to do 3 damage to the boss. I feel like killing the boss is the better. Oh no, because when I kill the boss, the next boss is going to activate immediately, and then almost immediately activate again. So I might want to wait. I'm going to wait till the next round to do that. So we're going to attack with Cabal, which is going to do, thwart with Cabal, which is going to do 3 to Lock and Loaded. We're going to thwart 1 with the Morlock this time, which is going to do 1 to Lock and Loaded, completing Lock and Loaded. When defeated, each player may search their weapon and discard pile for a weapon with a cost of 3 or less and put it into play. We're going to get this Scimitar for Cable. Let's see if I have a weapon here. I don't know. Oh, yep. We're going to put Domino's second pistol into play. So she's now got both pistols out. I feel like I was in a very good place to bring this home soon. I don't have any more cards in my hand that I can play. Oh, wait. I actually take 1 for that. Did I do 2? Yeah, I have to put this here because Uncanny X-Force doesn't work anymore because of the Morlock. Aha! Trickles. This lets me exhaust this to deal damage whenever I play a psionic card, but I don't have anything that I can afford right now. So that's it. That's it for the players. All right, so we're gonna discard Caliban because I don't think that's gonna be of use. Oh, Cable's gonna flip because he's about to get thrumbled. Yeah, so he's gonna be on that side. We are going to draw. So he's going to draw 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The new card in here is Forced Amnesia. After a non-permanent side scheme is defeated, add this to that side scheme. After a non-permanent side scheme is defeated, add Forced Amnesia and that side scheme to the victory display. Oh, I guess that means I can make, if there was an enemy side scheme from the deck, I could get rid of it permanently. And then for over here, I'm not so worried about, I'm not so worried about even the odds. I'm going to pop that there. I want to keep digging deep for a good next turn. We have 1, 2, 3 cards out of that. She has so many copies of Digging Deep. Holy crap. Okay, so we are going to refresh all of this stuff and see what everything is off screen. This is my entire play area is a complete mess. I'm so sorry. Let's pull some of this stuff. No, we can leave that up there because you don't need to see the victory display things. And here we go. Okay, so that's the end of the players' rounds. And we are going to, first we're going to put 2 threats on the scheme. Then Vertigo is going to attack Domino. Now I can either stun a character that I control, or I can add 2 to this attack. And I don't think that's going to be a great idea. You know, I'm gonna let the Morlock tough it out. So it's going to be 2 plus 1 is 3, and that's going to take out the toughness. And then she's going to scheme against Nathan Summers for 2 plus 1 is 3. Ooh. So we're at 8. We're like halfway to the bad point there. So we do need to do something about controlling that. And then we're going to do 1 card here, 1 card here. What's going to happen to, you'll see that this card on the top of the deck is from the standard set, if you can see, because the sides are all walkie-walkie. Anyway, Bound by Business. When revealed, discard cards from the encounter deck until a Marauder minion that does not share a title with a card in play is discarded, and put that into play engaged with you. Discarding cards from the encounter deck is bad because it leaves you closer to what we call acceleration, which we'll get to in a second. This is Blockbuster. He has Guard. When Blockbuster attacks you or an ally you control, either give him a tough status card or he gets +2 for this attack. That's a nasty one. And then over here, Back in Action. When revealed, give the villain a tough status card. Place threat on the main scheme equal to the number of villains under routed. It's good that we didn't kill her yet, because that would have been pretty brutal. We're going to pass first player over to Nathan Summers. Nathan Summers starting his turn by healing 4. That's a no-brainer. Do I have any alter ego abilities here? No. So he's going to flip to hero's side. Okay. So let's see. We're going to need to get past that guard. Oh, we're going to use this to get rid of that toughness on Vertigo. That's a no-brainer. I've been saying no-brainer a lot, but it seems like there's a lot of no-brainers in this game. There's a lot of brainers, a lot. 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1. All right. Let's see here. Whew. All right, so first we're going to use the power of the mind to play Mind Scan, remove 3 thwart from a scheme and 1 additional threat for each scheme in the victory display. For each scheme in the victory display. There's 3 in the victory display, so it's 3 plus 3 is 6 threat removed from Mutant Massacre. Because it was a psionic ability, I can exhaust this psionic weapon and deal 2 damage to an enemy. We're going to actually deal that 2 damage to... no, we're gonna kill Vertigo, because if Blockbuster is the next villain, he's gonna immediately get discarded. So we're gonna use that to kill Vertigo. The next villain is Harpoon. So it was not Vertigo. Sad days for us. So first, Harpoon is going to attack Cable. It's going to be 2 with an additional face down card. I don't have any more toughnesses. I already used Ava. We're going to let Phantom X take it and get killed. So it's +3. 2 + 3 is 5, which is enough for Phantom X to be banished to the discard pile. Then Harpoon is going to activate against Domino. Domino is going to defend with a +1, so that's a 4 defense. And we're gonna actually take the 2 indirect damage, which, oh wait, yeah, she jumped in front. We always have to jump in front because of the Morlocks. Did I cheat with that? I don't think I did. I think I always had the Morlock take it or used a defense thing. So we're gonna let that 2 extra damage go to that Morlock from the indirect damage, and then it's a total, wow, 3. So that's a 2 + 3 is 5 to Domino, which ends up letting 1 get through because my defense was at 4. So that was brutal. It's not Blockbuster, sadly. So we're going to continue on with our turn. Harpoon has 20 health, so we got to get 20 health done somehow. Ooh wee. Ooh wee. We're going to spend these 2 uncanny forces to put the telekinetic force fields into play. When any friendly character would take any amount of damage, discard this to prevent all that damage. So that is my get out of jail free card if somebody is about to die or a Morlock is about to die. And Deathlock is going to do, oh no, bye Deathlock. Deathlock's going to do his last attack of 3 damage on the Marauder to try to get that out of the way and let Domino start wreaking some havoc on her turn, which is coming up next. This Morlock is also, yeah, the Morlock is also going to attack and deal 1 damage to Blockbuster. And the reason for that is because at the start of Domino's turn, this Morlock is going to attack, take 1 damage, and get rid of Blockbuster, so that we're free and clear to go. So Domino's turn, we can swap a card from her hand with the top card of the deck. So we're going to put some Digging Deep there. Luck be a lady tonight. Oh, that's cool, especially because I know what that next card is. Okay. We're going to be shuffling that deck. So I actually kind of want to get some of these cards back in there. So I'm going to spend this 1 Dig Deep to play Luck Be a Lady. Hero action, discard the top card of the deck and count the number of resources on it for each one. If it is a bloody blop, 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 we can do a bunch of bloody blop, blops there. So we have 2 wild resources, which means I can choose 2 of the above. I'm going to try to really, really go in for the kill here. So we're going to immediately do 6 damage to Harpoon with that card. And it's Digging Deep, which gets added back to my hand. Now, because my deck has emptied, we're going to deal an encounter card to me, which I'm going to have to deal with on the next turn. I know that that's an encounter card from the basic encounter set because it's very worn and very played. but we're going to shuffle this deck before we continue our turn and see what happens next. Oh, 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 oh. Okay. Just going to see how much damage we can rock out. And hopefully if we can get 14 done, we're done. If we can't get 14 done, things are going to get a little rocky up here. Domino might need to switch to her alter ego mode to see what happens. So let's see here. So we're going to start with Outlaw is going to attack. Discard a card. It's +1, so that's 2 damage to the boss, bringing it down to 12 health remaining, but that was all Outlaw had. Feral is going to attack, doing 2 damage to the boss, bringing the boss down to 10. We are going to use Domino's Pistol against the boss, which is going to do 1 damage. We're going to use Domino's Pistol again against the boss, which is going to do, that's Luck Be a Lady, so that's 2 damage. We are going to Julia. We are going to use these 2 cards for a good workout. Discard the top card, which is only 1. It's going to do a total of 5 damage. And the boss has 2 health left. I just couldn't pull the cards out that I needed to do to end it. But hopefully we will survive. If we survive this next villain turn, we will definitely win because the boss has 2 health left. So with that said, we're gonna Domino is gonna flip. I think that's the safest thing to do. Domino is gonna draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more cards. I am not worried about this card that Cable has, so Cable is going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're all going to ready all of our thingamabobs, and our thingamabobs are readied. And here we go. Let's see if we can survive the villain turn. I'm not even going to talk about the cards we have in our hand because it's kind of irrelevant at this point. But we're going to start by adding 2 here. We are going to let Harpoon is going to attack Cable. Attack Cable's Morlock. And we're going to defend and take 1 additional card. So that's going to be 2 + 1 + 3. So that's 4 + 2 is 6. Leaving Cable with 3 health remaining and still alive. Then we are going to scheme against Domino, which is actually 0 scheme. That's nice. We're going to draw out these encounter cards. And then starting with Cable, Assault. When revealed, if the villain will attack you. Feral is going to jump in front of this and take that attack with 2 extra boost cards. Oh no. This, if this activation is an attack, it gets overkill. So it's going to do a total of 5 damage, which would be 1 to Feral, and then 4 more to the Morlock, which would kill it. However, I am going to discard Telekinetic Force Field to prevent all of that damage. It is a very good thing I played that card. That truly, truly saved the day. But we're going to see, because we're not out of the woods yet. Caught off guard, discard an upgrade or a support you control. If no cards were discarded this way, again, Surge, we're going to discard one of those guns because we don't need both of them to finish this off. Territorial control. This is a side scheme, Assault. Basic thwarts against this scheme use attack instead of thwart. It's going to have 4 threat on it. It's going to have an additional 1 per player for each villain under routed, so that's 4 more. And it is what we call a hazard. That's what that exclamation mark is. The hazard means that we cannot remove threat from the main scheme until threat is removed from that scheme. Luckily, absolutely none of that matters because Domino switches, does a basic attack, does the final 2 damage to Harpoon, and bam, we have won the first scenario of the campaign. Victory. We're going to record the title of each villain under routed in the campaign log. So Harpoon, Vertigo, and Grey Crow are routed. I'm guessing that means in the next scenario we'll have to kill the other 4, but we'll see. I'm going to set those 4 aside for that purpose. Record the number of Morlock allies still in play in the campaign log under... Oh, I only lose if all the Morlocks died, but I saved 2, so we're going to say that we saved 2 Morlocks. We're going to put those 2 Morlocks over there to say they were saved. We're going to mark this campaign as earned, so we've earned protective maneuvers, which also means that we are going to put Lady Mastermind into play for the remainder of the camp. Where is that card? I know I put that off to the side here somewhere. So from now on, Lady Mastermind is going to be shuffled into the encounter deck for everything. Lady Mastermind has Surge. Oh, boop, 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 boop. Lady Mastermind has Surge, and when revealed, take X damage, where X is the printed cost of the event in your hand with the highest cost. Whew, that's a pretty nasty one, isn't it? That makes sense because the ability used to get rid of her was one that was going to make events less bad. Now, so what's going to happen next is we are not going to do this tonight. This took an hour and a half, so that's long enough for one night for me. But what we are going to do next is when we go on to the second encounter, instead of using Psylocke and Domino's basic decks, we are instead going to use, did I say Psylocke? Cable and Domino. We are going to use Angel and Psylocke's special decks. Angel is indeed Archangel. He switches into Archangel form, makes me very happy. I didn't really love Psylocke the one time I played with her, but I don't remember much about either of these characters. I didn't remember anything about either of the characters I played today either. But these 2 are lovebirds, and they are in love, and we're going to use their pre-con decks to go against scenario 2 next Monday, August 13th. Meanwhile, what do we have coming up this week? I am going to try to start doing some more weekly things. So as I said, today was Marvel Mondays. What we are going to try to do tomorrow is going to be Too Many Bones Tuesdays as I start to tackle Unbreakable. Wednesday nights is when I play Agamonia with my friend. We're not going to live stream that. Didn't get enough looks. But if you love Agamonia and you want to watch me and my friend Liz play Agamonia, find my Agamonia video on here, like it, comment on it. If it gets 10 likes or 5 comments, then we will start to record those every week. And then finally, on Thursdays, we're going to start to do Cthulhu Thursdays. It's kind of alliteration, but not really. And we're going to go back and we're going to keep going with season 2 of Cthulhu Death May Die. Fridays are not always going to be a recording day because I have another event on Friday nights. But when I do manage to squeeze in the time, we're going to start trying to do some Final Girl Fridays. See what I'm doing here? Alliteration, 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 alliteration. So Marvel Mondays, Too Many Bones Tuesdays, nothing on Wednesdays, Cthulhu Thursdays, Final Girl Fridays, and then on Sunday, of course, at 6 p.m. as usual, I will be doing my live stream of the next boss from the Bad Karmas, which is going to be Virgo with an all-blue team. It was so exciting. If you don't watch those videos, the designers logged on after closing up their Gen Con booth, watched my live stream. Nobody else did. It's going to be really great because next summer at this exact same time, I'm going to be like, remember when I was talking all the time about how nobody watched me? And now people watch me all the time. That's what she said. Anywho, thank you for tuning in. Do not forget to like, do not forget to subscribe, and whatever you do, do not forget to keep those health bars full.